Hello everyone, welcome to 2CTV, your global news channel. We come to you guys with some breaking news coming from England as the Labour MP and the Mayor of West of England and now the former government minister Dan Norris has been arrested by the police in Somerset in his own house over horrific alleged crime involving a minor. Dan Norris is a top and close ally to the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer. In this live stream, we're going to give you guys all the facts and the background of this MP because not many people know who he is. But on 2CTV, we've done our homework. We are going to explain exactly who this man is because he has an extremely dodgy past that the mainstream media tonight are not actually telling you because they're just being very cautious and very diplomatic about all this. But we are going to expose him and his past. Firstly, Dan Norris, who was recently featured on GB News, a special interview on GB News about, essentially his life, his background, paying tribute to all the work he's done. Obviously, the mainstream media love to do that without doing their homework, and it happens a lot. But Dan Norris, let's talk about his alliance with Keir Starmer. Keir Starmer has praised him many times. He also said, Dan will support businesses like the Bristol Port Company. They are investing in young people through apprenticeships. That's a little bit awkward now. Dan will put the people of the West of England at the heart of everything he does. Clearly everything he does, right? So let's give you guys the actual facts of the story first. The police arrested Norris, who is 65 years old. He's the MP for Somerset and Hunham on a Friday last night over claims of essentially a sexual offence with a girl underage and also allegations of more extreme offences from 2020s over the last couple of years. The police have confirmed that he has also been held on suspicion of misconduct in public office. Now that's on top of that. We are waiting to get more information on that front. But Dan Norris, who by the way is an NSPCC trained child protection officer, is literally a child protection officer. Now, have we not seen this before? Many times. When dodgy people, allegedly dodgy people, get close to power and get close to influence, we've had individuals like Jimmy Savile, who was extremely close to children. Now, obviously, Dan Norris is being accused of all these crimes and is innocent until proven guilty, obviously. But we will talk about his background because that is also extremely important. For those who don't know, Dan Norris won his seat after ousting Jacob Rees-Mogg in July 2024 in the last general election. He was also an MP back in the day, about 20-30 years ago, which we're going to talk about that as well, because that's where his background comes in. The Labour Party have responded already. The leadership says Dan Norris MP was immediately suspended by the Labour Party upon being informed of his arrest. We cannot comment further while the police investigation is ongoing. Now, a senior source at the Labour Party have told the press that the whole party is all over the place right now. They are shocked and they don't know how to control and manage this PR disaster because they are seeing it as a PR disaster rather than allegedly, obviously, the crimes that involve the innocent people, especially a minor. Now, in regards to the police, Norris was arrested and interviewed at a police station in Somerset. This is near his constituency home. He has now been bailed. He's left the police station. He's gone back home. These claims against the girl are said to have taken place in the 2000s as well, with the more recent allegations as well, which is the last couple of years, or the last at least 5 years or so. So, the background of this man and his alliance with individuals like Keir Starmer. This is what they said about Dan. Dan previously worked across the area as an NSPCC trained child protection officer and local member of parliament, as well as running his own businesses. But so let's actually dig into his past and everything that we know so far. So he has a particular interest, they say, in child safety and regularly campaigns against child abuse, having co-written a free booklet on its prevention. He has also co-wrote, produced and distributed the booklet Don't Bully Me, giving practical advice to children across the United Kingdom on dealing with bullying. Well, he seems to know a lot about child protection and is giving a lot of good advice. He must know a lot about child protection. Now, how has Dan Norris voted in recent times and in the past? He has a very dodgy past in Parliament, in case you don't know. Consistently voted for introducing ID cards and more government control over individual liberty. Voted for requiring the mass retention of information about communications. So Dan Norris is extremely centralized, hungry power in terms of the influence that he has as a politician. He's constantly voting for more globalist policies. In terms of foreign policy, he consistently voted in favor of the Iraq war and the invasion of Iraq in 2003. He has consistently voted for more EU integration, so against Brexit, and in fact more and a closer relationship with the European Union, the other globalists. Dan Norris also voted against a transparent parliament. He doesn't like transparency and democracy in Parliament. He has also voted against, obviously, wholly elected House of Lords. We know that. But he's also voted for lowering the voting age. He wants to reduce the voting age so that children, because he's very much in favor of child protection, would be able to vote. I mean, a lot of his ideas go against obviously, going in favor of kids being involved. Now, if he does care about children, innocent people, how did he vote recently? In January 2025, when the House of Commons debated and voted on a grooming gang investigation, well, Dan Norris did not vote for the inquiry and decided to essentially say it's not really an important issue. And it's not really the job of the central government and Keir Starmer as Prime Minister. So he also didn't really vote for this inquiry while claiming to be in favour of child protection. This is what we're dealing with. Now, this is why I thought it would be important when this breaking news came. It only also came over the last few minutes anyway. And the first 5 minutes, I was just catching up on what the corporate legacy media are talking about. Not one single media outlet in the United Kingdom, ladies and gentlemen, did their homework to give you guys these facts. So I got frustrated. I thought, well, this is just classic mainstream media. Not surprised. But people in this country and all around the world, because this guy was a former government minister, he's a part of a Labour Party who governs the United Kingdom. I think everybody needs to know more about Dan Norris and his background and his voting record and his ideas. So, we're getting a statement now from the police as well, which we can actually read out. The Somerset police said in December 2024, we received a referral from another police force, which, by the way, I'm absolutely fascinated by the fact that the Somerset police, in their statement, they said police force, not police service. That's the first time we've heard police force in the UK in years. Anyway, they received a referral from another police force relating to an alleged non-recent child offences having been committed against the girl. Most of the offences, most of them, go back, obviously, a few years. But we are also investigating an alleged offence of R from the 2020s, so over the last 5 years. An investigation led by officers within Operation Bluestone, our dedicated rape and serious sexual assault investigation team, remains ongoing and at an early stage. The victim is being supported and given access to any specialist help or support that she needs, A man aged in his 60s, that's Dan Norris, was arrested on Friday, the 4th of April, on suspicion of these offences against the girl under the Sexual Offences Act 1956 and also under the Sexual Offences Act 2003 and misconduct in a public office. He's been released on conditional bail for inquiries to continue. This is an active and sensitive investigation, so we would respectfully ask people not to speculate on the circumstances so our inquiries can continue unhindered. Now, obviously, this is the process that we have in the UK. The investigation must continue to find out more about what's actually happened. While we are waiting for more updates on this, let's quickly get some reaction from you guys. I can imagine you guys are going to be speculating, but I'm not going to speculate myself. Cameron, thank you for your super chat saying, what did he do to put these eyes the absolute wrong? Oh, yeah, that was part of the whole campaign, by the way, with the NSPCC child protection trained officer, whatever it was called. Aaron says, stand up to racism are out campaigning. Oh, of course, Durham. In County Durham, openly against the reform and others. They are meeting, 5th Anfield Plain, 12, this is just an address, 12 Easington and Colliery, 19th West Auckland, Labour breaking the Purdah rules. No, because they could just say this is an external group. So, yes, obviously during Purdah, which is just before the election time, you're not allowed to do certain things, but you're still allowed to campaign, and the Labour Party are campaigning, just like Reform UK and the Tories. They have to campaign until the final day of the actual election, the local elections. But in this case, the political left are simply going to say this isn't officially the Labour Party. This is just the external campaigners, and that's the power that the left has, because they have so many external campaign groups that they could use them and get them to spend money on campaigns and everything else without being connected to any of the political parties. Now, Ash says, I'm sure Dan will be let off when he identifies as a 15-year-old black teenager. That's usually how it works these days, yep. Watson says, it's hard to not speculate with these Labour commies. Yeah, obviously, but there's a process now, so we have to wait for the actual investigation to continue. Barry Phillips says, Starmer needs investigating, as he was pretty close to Savile and doesn't want the inquiry, well, the gangs to get caught. To be fair, a lot of people in power were also close to Jimmy Savile, so it's they would say they didn't know anything about what was going on. But the problem with Starmer and the CPS at the time was when they were told to investigate, they somehow didn't manage to investigate. That makes it more dodgy than, I don't know, bumping into Jimmy Savile in public, shaking hands with him when he was a popular celebrity. You know, if you're not actually investigating him, that's much, much worse. No. Two Peas in a Pod says, children are not safe in Britain. They see our children as cheap. That is a big issue, because most of the policies coming from left and right can be split into different ideologies, right? So for example, the level of taxation you want, whether you want to nationalize an industry or privatize it, these things, you can say that's from that side, that's from this side. Back in the day, in a civilized country, including the UK, certain things were cross-party, non-partisan. Certain things were based on morality. For example, looking after vulnerable people, children especially. That's no longer the case, because firstly, it was two things. One was cross-party. Two, urgency. Politicians were always on top of it, because just based on simple morality, decades and decades ago. But these days, there's no urgency. That includes the centre-right and the centre-left. We've seen 14 years of Tory government. They were told many times about the grooming gang scandal. There was no urgency to do anything, right? Now that the Tories are in opposition, they're all talking about it. But the political left, over the last few years, have become extremely tribal more than before, which means if somebody from the right mentions an issue, the left will automatically oppose it because it came from the right. And I know that the political spectrum is no longer that straightforward, left and right, but we are saying it to make it simple in terms of this side and that side. Just because one side has been talking about, for example, Tommy Robinson, Sammy Woodhouse, and these guys have been shouting about grooming gangs, then obviously the establishment would say, these guys, it's coming from these guys, the messenger, I don't like the messenger, so I'm going to ignore the message. Happens all the time. Another super chat saying, do the Labour Party know that they advocate an ideology promoting child marriage? That's the other thing, by the way. It goes back to what I said about politicians back in the day were focusing on basic morality. So they wouldn't, because if at the time, if they were being associated with anything that was even indirectly against vulnerable people or children, there will be an outrage. For example, Winston Churchill got into huge trouble as Prime Minister because of the pollution in London, and everybody was suffering. And he not that he was in favor of it, he was simply busy with other things, and he became complacent. For a few days, the whole of the country and Parliament were on top of him, saying, Winston, what are you doing? And then he had to obviously change his policy and say, okay, well, let's go clean up London. And these are basic things. It doesn't really happen anymore. You have a situation where Labour politicians and establishment politicians, for example, promoting the Islamic ideology that we know what they stand for. We've had MPs in Parliament defending incest, cousin marriages, because it comes from one side and you have to be nice to that religion, so-called religion. They've allowed, for example, certain families to protest outside schools in Birmingham, mostly, because those families were Islamic families and they were protesting against basic sex education, a very basic version of it. That, it's good to have an element of it, secondary school, just health and everything else. But when English parents are protesting or want to protest outside a primary school where little young kids are getting drag queens going to their school and teaching them about all their genders and everything else, then no, you can't, because you're an English family, you're far right. So one side is allowed to, and you have to be sympathetic. And those schools in Birmingham who had the protest outside their schools by the Islamic families, they caved. Oh, they surrendered. Because they said we have to respect the wishes of the families, the parents. This is the problem. There's another super chat handily saying, I wonder if Starmer knew about him. I don't know, but we do know that obviously these guys have been close allies as well. Starmer has been praising him for a long time. He was also very close to Tony Blair, and well, that's why he also voted in favor of the Iraq invasion. It says cousin marriage. They marry their own sisters who together. Not two sisters, because that would be against Islam, but yeah. George says ECHR is the problem, mass deportations needed. Although that wouldn't really fix the problem with Dan Norris, who's English, but yeah. It's insane. Darren says that there was a big fight in Birmingham the other day between what looked like Muslims. Any idea what that was about, or if the police did anything? So we've had a number of these occasions. It's quite regular now. So we've had in Birmingham and in Leicester. It was Leicester, yeah. We had the Islamic side young men attacking Sikhs and Hindus. We've had regular gang fights in Birmingham between the Islamic gangs anyway. There's been some disruptions obviously in Birmingham recently because of the incompetent local council, and some people came to clean up the place. The other people got angry. It's a bit of a mess anyway, that city. I don't understand what's going on. Supposed to be the second city of England, by the way. Carol Reed says, to see great political exposure analysis. Thanks. Thank you, Carol, from Canada, I believe. I can see the flag. Promoting, exactly. Predatory creeps all rubbing their hands at thinking now lie about are in they will be protected. Yeah, I think I get that. Yeah. What's going on with the... There's a lot of... Oh my God. There's someone who's now claiming that the Christians are the real grooming gangs. Imagine. And it's just copy and pasting it, because if you copy and paste it enough, it becomes true. That's how these people think it works on the internet. Just keep copy and pasting. Christian clergy are the real grooming gang. You missed the first full stop as well. Do it properly. Actually, you missed 2 full stops. 3 full stops. No, the 2. Yeah, you missed. So embarrassing. Address the real issue instead of coming up with nonsense. Anyway. Let's just double check to see if there's any quick updates on this, because we're still waiting to see. Because the Labour Party have obviously, their Labour headquarters said we're no longer going to comment. I wonder if the Prime Minister has said anything. Well, the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, or as Nigel Farage calls him, Sir Keir, he admires him. The last thing he said was 10 hours ago, and it was simply just a campaign video for the upcoming local elections. And the one before that is celebrating Eid, which seems to be the priority right now for the Prime Minister. It's interesting. We are hearing more about Ramadan than Lent, and we are hearing more about Eid than Easter. Although I would like to see what's going to happen this year with Easter, because a lot of people are criticizing the government for not talking about Easter. So I think this year Starmer is going to make a video saying Happy Easter. Let's go to the last thing the Prime Minister said. It's extremely important, ladies and gentlemen. This is what the Prime Minister is focusing on.
Eid Mubarak, everyone. It's really fantastic to see you and to be saying that here in this room. I've been really proud that we've been able to host an iftar event here in number 10 to attend the big iftar in Westminster Hall. I'm wishing you Eid Mubarak is a really special moment. The day after.
I love how the Labour politicians have been told the correct phrasing of this, because for a long time they were going around saying Happy Eid Mubarak. Okay, Eid means the actual festival, right? The day. Mubarak means happy. So they were saying happy Eid, or happy Eid happy. That makes no sense. It's like those who go around saying Sharia law. What do you mean Sharia law? Sharia means law. It means Islamic law. Sharia law means law. It makes no sense why you put the 2 words together. Anyway, Joyce says, if he makes a TV speech about Easter, he will be dressed as a Muslim. He will be in a burqa. Oh, what an embarrassing situation. This guy is still going. He keeps posting the same thing. Okay, so just for those who don't know this channel, we don't have moderators. It's a free speech platform. You can say whatever you want, as long as you don't criticize my hair. It's a bit of a mess right now. Free speech, but we are against one thing. If you spam and copy and paste the same thing because you're taking the space from other people to talk, what we have a simple policy. We're going to ban and deport you. So this person has now been banned and deported. Have fun in Rwanda. AFC Manica says Eid Mubarak. Really? Now? Classic. Anyway. Devon says Starmer and Rachel Thieves sound the same. I wonder if they are sister and brother. It's quite interesting you said that. Obviously they're not. But there is something about Labour politicians and left-wingers, a lot of them, who has this nasally voice. Now, if you haven't noticed, after this, just go on YouTube, type in just a few seconds of listen to Rachel Reeves, listen to Keir Starmer, listen to Ed Miliband, and there's still a number of others as well, but definitely those three, just listen to them. They all have this weird, annoying nasally voice. Well, we will take over the world. Essentially, that's Rachel Reeves. Friend says, Starmer doesn't care about anything other than trying to get the Muslim vote. He will be shattered when they get their own parties. This is the strategy from all of the three main parties. I understand the overreaction from the parties. So the Labour Party, the Tory Party and Reform UK, because they see the demographic change as inevitable and default. They basically accepted that there is nothing you can do about the demographic change, which is a very defeatist mentality, by the way. So they say the only way is not necessarily, okay, nobody's actually telling you to like F over anybody who's brown or has a different religion. Nobody's saying that. Some people might be saying that. But they think it's not really just about embracing them because they need the votes. Because demographic change, there are so many, right, in certain places. But the problem is, they believe in pandering to them. They're the best solution. You have two options. Either you can actually go radical and protect the values of this country and the identity. So anybody who's an illegal migrant out, not going forward, anybody who is already a legal migrant out, anybody who's a foreign criminal out, and I would go further and say anybody who doesn't believe in this country and wants to do treason, promotes any idea that is against the Christian England, out. Okay, if you don't want to go radical, there's another option. Obviously, still control the borders going forward, blah, 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 but you must be able to, instead of pandering to a group of people whose ideology is against the Constitution, you promote the Constitution. You promote our Christian cultural values. You enforce the Union flag in schools. You promote community. You do that instead of just saying, oh, well, we're going to have to get the block vote from the Islamic side in Birmingham or Luton. And that's what the main three parties are doing. So they say, well, we're going to have to go to the mosque and shake hands. Right? Because if we don't do that, they believe if we don't do that, it's going to alienate them and they're going to vote against it. First things first, the radical Islamists, they're never going to vote for Labour, Tory or Reform UK. They're not going to vote for you. At best, they're going to vote for the Green Party. The rest of it is going to be independent, and they're starting their own political parties anyway. So the more you pander, it's just not going to work. They sent Angela Rayner, the deputy leader of the Labour Party, to go and meet with a group of Islamic men in the Midlands. She was in this red dress. She was the only woman in the room, and she was expected to be heard by those men who don't even want to shake her hand. I mean, it's insane. What happened to the Labour Party? Well, they lost seats to the Islamists. Jonathan Ashworth is one of them. He kept pandering to the community that didn't want to actually be in favour of the British values, so they got rid of him. They found someone who actually believes in Gaza, rather than someone who's sitting on the fence, saying, yeah, of course, what the Jews are doing is very evil. By the way, release the hostages. Because he had to sit on the fence. He had to do it. It was very, very difficult for the Labour politicians in this election. Hamsley says, I'm going to eat pork on Eid Mubarak. Stop saying Eid Mubarak. Just going to trigger me. Also, Eid is already gone. You should have pork now. When are you coming to Israel? Yes, so that will be towards the end of this month. So we'll be there for a couple of weeks until the beginning of May, until the Independence Day, basically. And obviously we're going to be around Memorial Day and everything else that's going to be happening. And obviously 2CTV will be doing a whole documentary on the Israeli trip. And hopefully we're getting some top figures to interview as well. Because obviously the mainstream media is not showing what's going on inside Israel and the effects that the invasion of Israel in 2023 had on normal people, especially those in the north of Israel who've been displaced. The media don't show you this, but we are going to be showing you that. And obviously we're going to do a whole documentary which will be on 2CTV Plus. You can obviously join 2CTV Plus today by using the promo code cancelled10. You will get 10% off annual memberships by going on 2c.tv. The link is also in the description. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just check out the link. There's a lot of good stuff on it. We've got the Cancelled documentary coming out tomorrow night, and many other documentaries, including Groomed, obviously, and the global Islamic takeover, Britain's multiculturalism myth, and the Net Zero Lies, which is the original series. And obviously, the main important thing about 2CTV Plus is our chat forum, which is our private Discord server, which you can obviously join to talk to me and other far-right thugs. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to keep you posted on this story as it develops over the next few days and weeks. I'm Maya Tusi, and we are the media.